Okay, so as you can see, we got the upper and lower control arms removed, the spring out, shock out, thrown in the trash, tie rod in, unhooked, just hanging down there. You take out these bolts, take off the upper control arm. There's 11/16 on one side, 5/8 on the other. Bolts that go through the frame here that hold this apparatus on. And then there's a couple of 5/8 bolts that go through the frame, threaded from the other side. A little bit of a pain in the bum to get it out, but you can with a ratchet. We took the whole front clip off the car. You're going to be probably a little bit more uncomfortable. We have a nice luxurious working environment here. So the trick to getting these rivets off, that's the only other thing holding this front little apparatus on, is a sharp chisel tip. You can do it by hand if you want to smash your thumbs. I got these old tips that were broken. These are old body shop tips, a kind for cutting metal, and just cut them flat and then just grind them, because I'm going to keep grinding them. This used to be a lot longer than it is now, and that's the trick. Keep it sharp and cover your ears. Did I get you? Okay, I'm going to try to bounce this one. Frame rail, upper control arm, gearbox, firewall, telephone screen. Nothing but net. That was done. Somebody's getting stitches from this one though. Okay, all four of those came off that fast. That's really no more than a 3 or 4 minute job if you have a sharp tip. I've seen people roll the edge, oh it's cutting, and spend a half hour trying to get these things off. His name is, he used a cutoff wheel. This seems to be a little easier for me. Here's something else. I got this car, I bought the truck from my buddy Ken, who bought it from another friend of mine, Lou. And Lou, or possibly Bob, Lou and Bob used to share a shop together back when this truck was being built 15 or 20 years ago. He decided to weld this to the cross member and to the frame, which I don't know why he did that, but he did do that. No big deal, cut off wheel, cut right through. Which is funny because I thought those guys could weld really good, but cut right through. Grab me the orange pry bar, orange handle pry bar out of that right there. So I cut these all the way through, and then I just did a little pie cut on those, so they should snap right off. There it goes. So that is what we take out. Grab me one of the stock ones right there. I want to say, is it that one? The other one. I think it's the other one. Yeah, laid back. So this is the new piece. As you can see, the spring pocket right here, and those rivet heads are still sticking through. This has a round hole that has to be cut into the top of that. And those rivet heads line up perfectly with this new bracket. We take that out of the way. We change the tip to a, where's the pointed tip? So after you cut those rivet heads off, get the sharp tip. Doesn't have to be pointy, just has to be round and handled. Now we get the paddle, electric paddle wheel. Okay, so here it is, all prepped for a little bit of paint. We ended up using a hot wrench to blaze that hole through because we couldn't find the right adapter for the plasma cutter. But in the real world, not everybody has a plasma cutter anyway. So I put the upper shock mount and control arm mount on there, drew a hole around it, and then cut just outside the hole. Keep it looking good. And now I'm going to rattle can it a little bit and start putting it back together. So honestly, the whole front end is maybe a 5-hour job, 6-hour job. 5 or 6 hours with the right tools. 2 days with the wrong tools. Are we back? Is it on?
We are on.
Is the red light on?
We are rolling.
All right. Okay, so everything's painted, put together, tightened them. The one thing you need to be aware of is you want to make these super snug but not super tight, and then you tighten these so that this is as low as it can go and it gets pulled flush to that, and then you go back and retighten everything. Sort of a pain, but that way you don't end up with a binder. If you're going to use stock control arms, this is the little concave piece that goes right into a stock control arm. These convert it to the tubular aftermarket. And I looked high and low for the parts, for the hardware, and I found a bag that says hardware, upper control arm. Go figure. Okay, so here it is put together. I just don't see how I could possibly cover that up. I'm going to have to modify those wheel wells so they can be appreciated. These are just some stock brakes. Actually came with the truck. I'm going to upgrade the spindles and the brakes before I do anything crazy with this thing. Which that could have just been a blatant lie right to your face. I'm waiting on a sway bar to make a great sway bar that bolts in the stock location. Hooks to those tabs right there on the lower control arms. And this about sews up the front. I'm going to replace the idler arm and the gearbox, but use the original Pitman arm and drag link. But other than that, front of this is together. I'm going to put the tires on it and set it on the ground. And we will move on to the back of the vehicle. But it does look pretty wicked.